This is everybody's day. This is everybody's day. Things that you can say about yourself. When I shared with you that I was not going to graduate because the project I did for 9 months, my process was 9 months. My last 2 weeks of finishing, my lecturer, my supervisor, our HOD, needed to go for a conference in Kenya. He came back after 2 weeks to say, hey, that your project. I said it has finished because I was not the one controlling the rate. It had been catalyzed. So it was supposed to end in 2 weeks. He said, I was not there for the last 2 weeks. I said, yes, sir. You went for a conference in Kenya. He said, so I didn't see the end. So you will come back next session to start again. By the mercy of God, I was like a god on campus in the Christian world. But I began to cry instantly. I cried to the point that mucus were 500 level. Mucus were coming out of my nose. It was with one of my friends, a very beloved brother from the other religion. Both of us cried. We stood together and were begging. This our lecturer had the habit of putting eyeshadow, female eyeshadow, on his eyes. When it comes like that, anything he says, if the Spirit of God is not inside you, he's like a confessor. You are what legend of the seeker? If he says, don't come back until 2 sessions time, something will happen to you that will make you stray. Even the VC, he doesn't come in, he comes in late to Senate meetings. Because he believes that when that thing is on, the VC is his subject. Until he met a VC who was like unto him. So he came later and that VC said, my friend, walk out. And so he now found that if your strength is from the realms of men, a day will come when you will meet your match. I wept. And I saw that my friend cleaned his eyes. And when I tried to check what made his tears cease, it was that he had confidence in a man who was going to give him a line to recite. And that if he stays reciting that line, he will be able to undo the power of, we used to call that in Tiro. And now remember that, it means that this thing is actually not about a lecturer. It's a battle of gods. So I receded into my own conclave. And I went to that point where we had gathered in 100 level to stop the gates of death on our campus. And I began to call on the name of the Lord. You won't pray until you find out that you are weak. May you arrive at Enos very early. I prayed for about 3-4 hours. And God promised me he was going to come. As I was going to my lodge, the Lord said, don't go. Go to the front of his office and stand and real tongues on his door. I didn't even know what I was saying. But the next time we met, what he said was, submit your work. He didn't check through. He just signed on the first page. He said, go and mass produce and I will sign. And if they ask you any question you don't know, say that I'm your supervisor. That's how I graduated. When my friend saw that I had deliverance, he also came. His lips were moving. He told us that what they told him to say was to say 3,000 times. One line. God is good to you. He must not. He cannot. If you greet him, he can't greet you. Once that thing is in motion. And he had a counter. So when he came in, Oga saw that. I know this thing. He said, is it me you are coming to meet like that? You will graduate next year. Vain is the arm of flesh. When today graduated the following year, we now got to know that he was graded the previous year. So everything he did for the project the following year was waste. It was, the gods were just fighting and they were using human specimens. That evening, I had fully defended, and my friend had become a project carryover student to the other station. He was now coming with one of the, we used to call them stars. They are students, so, but they were not like us. They lived, dined, slept in their place of worship. He was walking past in our department too. And today now said, Tolu, what you did is wrong. You did something and you were helped. And you did not help me. Ustaz now said, if Tolu gets into trouble in this school and God does not help him, God is not fair. The way he served God in this school, God should come to help him. I heard from the lips of an Ustaz that I served God and that God will be a debtor if he doesn't help me. Some of you are laboring even in church. Church people cannot say you are doing well. I didn't know that. If he says that, and you know, at that level, they are not just knowledgeable in the book, they have ascended in darkness. Do you know what arrows have tried to project that service has blocked? It was not something he learned in a class. It was by experience that, you know, God, you owe this guy. And I said, so you didn't show me my report card. You went to show an Ustaz. It pays to serve Jesus. I speak from my heart. He always be with us if we do our part. Yes, there's nothing. I love him. There's a lesson I want to bring out quickly, and I'll turn into the fellowship of this name of God. Is that, you see, there are things, or they are, we call them the attributes of God. There are attributes of God that the world may not be able to see because there is no mortal to provoke its advertisement. God is this thing, but nobody has aligned so that God can manifest himself to be that thing. Israel didn't understand the economy of the miracles of God until there was a man who said, I may be a stammerer, but I will obey you. The sustained service, the devout nature of Daniel was a gift of expression to God. Is somebody getting me? There are homes that are represented here, and they are not only represented by persons, they are represented on the sheets that you have written. You are saying, God, show up that you are alive, and God is saying, give me a reason. Because the person who concocted this captivity was a man who was adjudged to be devout in darkness, and you want to use inconsistencies to match him. The person who spoke the words that brought the captivity, the one who opened the gates of death. Now, as I'm speaking now, the Lord is reminding me. He told me before, but he's reminding me. Now, there are two individuals in this meeting. Two. Yes, two. These two individuals, the family was fine until death struck. And the impact of that death, though it has been long, it has stayed. Because it came with that death opened the gate of a waster. When that happened, there was still goodness in the home. But as the family journeyed away from that point where that particular person died, the family has been wasted. Wasted financially, wasted in strength, potentially wasted. Who are those two people? I want to pray before I continue. If God is bringing it up now, it means that there's something he wants to do. Just come forward. We'll pray for you. What we'll do tonight is to close those gates. Life was good until death struck. And it has been a journey down the line in ways. If you are coming, come quickly. I don't have time. Inside or outside, come quickly, come quickly, come quickly. You don't need to wait for another person. It won't be, we didn't come to play. We came seriously. Now I need one of the ministers to, I need to interview them. No, you can move back a little. Move back a little. So Timothy, I want to know the story. You can stand there. Good. No, stand there, my dear. My dear. It's a new day that is opening. So Timothy, I want a feedback while I keep preaching. But that's what the Lord is doing now. There are 3 other families who are designed to become like this. These 3 families have their breadwinners in critically ill states. The icons of those families, the ones that ensure that there's food in the family, are currently critically ill. And what the enemy ultimately wants to do is to quench those lives so that the rest will waste. You can join this line. Where was I? Okay. So while that, please just join them. We'll pray once. For some, we'll close the gates of death. For the others, we'll deliver from the point of death. And we'll quench that counsel of the enemy. Now, stay with me while that interview is going on. The one who has been brought into the economy of the life of God, and I'm very, very careful about advertising that life, because that's the first experience of God that you had. The one who has been brought into the distributions of the life of God by redemption must, as a primary labor to know God. There is the temptation to want to join into things and abandon the God of the life. You must labor to know God. For according to scriptures, the fullness of the experience of the possession of the God life is arrival at a knowing. You must know Him. The knowledge of God, give me 2 minutes, is designed to be a potent tool. A potent tool. For according to the revelation in Daniel 11:32, the Bible says that with flattery he shall corrupt them that have done wickedly against the covenant, but they that know their God. That knowledge is not mental. It began as experiential knowledge, and it now furnished cognitive knowledge. What it means is that you first experienced it, and because of the experience, you can now differentiate it. That is in a class of its own. One of those years, as I was journeying in the labor to come to the knowledge of God as the only true God, I was studying one day, and it began to play a sound in my spirit. You are God all by yourself. You are God all by yourself. You created all the universe. You are God all by yourself. So I worship at your throne, and I bow before your feet. You created all the universe. You are God all by yourself. That song came out of a knowing. We did a classification, and you know when they do Project Fame, those who go home don't go home at the same time. So it's like you're watching Champions League. Some people will go home at the preliminary rounds, and then they now per match. That's how we're cutting up. They were cutting up. Some fell into the class of powerless. Shango survived powerless because he's powerful. Are you with me? One of the places where Shango was cut off was living. I know you think Shango is alive. I'll show you that the life he has is not in the class of God.